Right, guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a while since we've done a podcast. Once again, my faithful assistant is with me. Grant, how on earth are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah, because you kind of self-isolate in your work anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you live in the country in the middle of nowhere. You don't see people. It doesn't really change too much when all this is going on.
No, not at all. But, yeah, things have been crazy in the world the last sort of 2 months.
Hmm.
So apologies for not having a podcast out before then. I hope, of course, everybody that's listening is, of course, staying very safe. And please, do your best to stay as safe as possible.
Yeah.
I myself, I'm working from home currently, and I'm totally by myself, so I have had lots and lots of painting time. I've done a full inventory of all of my models that I have to paint and done a full list, and I'm crossing them off that list as I complete them.
I mean, it's going to be the one positive that comes out of this. Like when the events start up again, we should see a lot of amazing painted armies, and
Yeah,
no one's got any excuse to take any unpainted models to games anymore.
no,
Like,
nah. I mean, come on, I've nearly painted the Black Legion army at this point. After I brutalised myself with them 9 Varangard, I was like, nope, I'm not doing gold trim ever again. And then I've painted 20 Marines, a handful of characters, and obliterators.
well, that's the thing. I speed painted my Fire Slayers army to get them ready for the upcoming events, and then got to take them to one event, and now it's them on the shelf till events kick off again.
Yeah. So since the last time we spoke, there's been half of the reveals that were going to be at Adepticon have been previewed on the Warhammer TV
Yeah.
Twitch channel.
Hmm.
So there's a couple of things there for us to discuss. We each got to go to, I think, a single event before all this
Hmm.
started, and we were planning, of course, to going to one. It was actually supposed to be this weekend, just gone.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
so I was supposed to be coming up to Scotland to play a team game with you.
Yeah, we doubles event, but with everything that's been going on, it's obviously not
No.
been the way things have played out.
And I just hope that a lot of the local gaming stores can survive this, because I
Yeah,
mean, this is, businesses are across the world are going to struggle.
100%.
Games Workshop will be fine. They made a
Yeah,
profit of 75 million last financial year. They're going to be
yeah. I
fine.
mean,
People are
as a
going to
company, they
be
will be absolutely fine.
people are going to be buying stock off their shelves like it's well, literally like it's a drug.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did say in the most recent email they put out that although the shops are staying shut, they have sort of mentioned they're looking and maybe doing some mail order stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know how much that's doing, because I received an update email saying that they were closing till further notice.
yeah,
So I'm not too sure about that. But the one thing I would say, guys, is if you are hobbying at the minute, buy stuff from your local. Right, most
yeah,
locals are posting stuff out to people. Battle Bunker certainly is, and I know you've ordered from your local as well, Grant.
yeah, yeah.
Honestly, guys, they need it more than ever. If they've got it in stock, they will send it to you. Support your local hobby store. Justin at Battle Bunker still has stock, so if anybody does want to get in touch, granted at this point he's not going to have everything, but he had a pretty good stock, and he has an active stock list online for you to view
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
the shops are definitely you're noticing just going out of stock within days. Like
If
it's
you
crazy how quick everything's going out.
if you need lead belcher, agrax, or null noil, don't even try.
Yeah,
Because nowhere's got any. Um, yeah.
so
So
it's a good chance to try the Iron Warriors metal, which I've recently fallen absolutely in love with.
yes,
It's a much darker than Lead Belcher, but I
it is
really like it when you highlight it up and dry brush it and stuff. It's just big fan of that.
absolutely. So I am doing a little bit of painting whilst doing this, to try and pass the time, because I am so fed up of gold trim. I am doing the Havoc Sergeant now. And then I've got a Disco Lord to go, and that'll be it. But Grant,
Whoever designs all these models at Games Workshop, they have far too much love of gold trim.
do you know I've painted the last 30 Blood Angel mini marines of my entire fourth company? I painted 30 Blood Angels in like 10 days, amongst everything else.
And how bad was it going back to mini marines after doing Primaris?
It wasn't that bad because I haven't painted any Primaris since Shadowspear.
No, fair enough.
So it wasn't that bad, to be honest. But yeah, it was good. So yeah, I've painted a whole like massive stock of stuff, but it's mainly been 40k I've been focused on. I haven't really touched my Sigmar pile. Most of me to paint stuff for Sigmar is Demonettes and Witch Elves, which I'm going to pretend don't exist for the minute until I run out of stuff to paint. So yeah, that's where I've been doing. And there's going to be a whole host of things coming to the channel. Lucy's been painting quite a bit of different stuff, so when lockdown was a little bit more relaxed, I had dumped like loads of stuff on her. So I dumped some Primaris Space Marines on her, some Drukhari, some what they're called, Iron Jaws, things like that. So so she's got plenty of stuff that she's working on just to, I find that I'm not painting more than 5 guys in a batch, and then I'm alternating what army I'm painting to try and change the theme up.
Yeah, just to keep everything fresh in your palette and mind and stuff, and not go completely insane.
Yeah. So for Age of Sigmar, we went to 2 different events.
Yes.
I went to Warlord's Revenge in February at Battle Bunker, and I took Archeon and 9 Varangard.
Yes.
And
I said was a good list. You weren't so convinced, I think, at the time.
No, I knew it was killy. It is very killy, but it's so hard to score.
Yeah, positioning is key. You need to be in the right place and take out the threats quickly and everything like that. It's not an army. It's not a point-and-click army.
No, absolutely not. You've really, really got to think about it. So my first army, I can't remember the gentleman's name. It was against, I think it was Tom, and he had a converted Ideneth army, right? And what he'd done is all of the eels, he had like Glavewraith Stalkers on them.
Oh, I think I saw pictures of that.
Yeah, and his Leviathan was actually half of the shipwreck with a Tyranid Morlock crawling out of it, so it was like a hermit crab. Honestly, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Now, nice. He did have a lot of eels.
Well, you kind of have to with
and
Deepkin.
he had that battalion that gives you like +3 to the charge. And my word, eels hurt.
Oh yeah, eels are. I think I've said it before. They're one of the best war scrolls in the game.
Like, why do they get -2 rend and 2 damage on the charge? Why?
Like, they're just so unbelievably efficient.
They're incredibly efficient. Incredibly.
Yeah, they don't really need any character support. They just do whatever you want them to do.
But then they get rerolls to hits and stuff as well.
Yeah. Reroll charges.
And plus, wow. Honestly, right, it was a brutal, brutal game. Now, the mission that we played is where you had 4 objectives. I don't remember the name of it, but it's 1 in each table quarter. And you had to, if you controlled all 4 of them, from round 3 onwards, then you automatically win the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had 11 models.
Yeah.
Yet I managed to achieve that in turn 3.
Excellent. Excellent.
So at the start of turn 3, I had Archeon left on about 12 wounds. I had one Varangard from one squad left who was wounded. 1 Varangard from another squad left who was wounded. And I think I had a squad of 3 left. And because the unwounded ones, the wounded ones were still alive, I also denied my opponent kill points because they're 300-point units.
Yeah, yeah.
But I, it was a case of when do I fight with my Varangard the second time? When do
Yeah,
I
because you've
use...
got the double activation, so it's...
And when do I use the ability to pile in and fight twice?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, to pile in and fight when I die. When do I use that command ability? And then do I actually use the Dark Knowledge command ability where I know if I'm going first or second?
Yeah, which is... Remember when that was announced, everyone was losing their mind that, oh, it's going to totally break Slaves to Darkness. But
Nah.
it's only in Host of the Everchosen with Archeon, so it's quite a limited time it comes up, but it is such a great ability to have in your back pocket if you want to kind of plan ahead.
Absolutely.
You can plan ahead better than any other army can.
And the way that we did it for tournament play was basically got your opponent to look away, have somebody else just watch you roll the dice and place a cup over the top of it. Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah, I think that's the most sensible way to approach it.
Yeah. So I won my first game, and I think I won it 19-1 because he got one of his secondaries, which was new for me because I'd never done them whole secondary things before.
All right, yeah. No, I'm a big fan of them. Big fan of them.
So the second mission was... it was diagonally, and heroes could control objectives, and only heroes.
Yeah. Places of Power, Arcane Places of Power, one of the variations.
And I ended up against an almost mirror match. So I think it was Simon who I played against, and he had Archeon, one unit of Varangard, a unit of, I want to say, 10 knights. He had the Lord on horse, and then he had a squad of marauders on horse.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the marauder horsemen with the javelins and whatnot.
Yeah. So, slightly different to mine, but I was able to outplay him because I understood the army more, because I'd actually had like 5 games at this point. With my army, exactly. And because I'd built it all around Khorne, I knew the ranges of all of my abilities. I knew obviously that the Varangard can pile in a fight twice and stuff. I did use me a command ability. I went second. No, I went first, and he.
But how did they rule that in the event if you both wanted to use it? I guess you just.
It has actually been FAQ'd, and I don't remember the exact way around. But if one person uses it, then it stands. If the second person uses it, depending upon when it's used, depends on whose it actually counts.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So basically,
order of activations issue.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but it is there in the FAQ. Cool. And obviously, me and my opponent discussed that before the game. We both understood it, totally fine with it. And I remember I went first, and I managed to run my Manticore Lord onto the left-hand objective, and I put Archeon within reach of the middle objective, but kept the Varangard close enough that if I was charged, they could pile in and activate as well.
Yeah.
I cast Ruinous Vigor on Archeon so that even if I was damaged, I was still fighting at full ability. And I've used the reroll saves from the Sorcerer Lord on Archeon because he had to stay alive.
Yeah, because you need to score those points.
Exactly. So he absolutely had to. And I think I put Fight When They Die on the Varangard next to him.
Right, yeah.
And I kind of I think I put 2 units like around him. He wasn't totally screened off, but if Simon was to charge, he would drag the Varangard in.
Yeah, so you can't just isolate Archeon. He's got to deal with.
Yeah, and I sent the other squad off with the Manticore to try and protect him a little bit. As it turned out, I did use my command ability to find out if I was going first or second in the second turn. And I was going second.
Right.
And because I knew I had to play defensively, that's why I wrapped Archeon as much as I could. That's why I used Ruinous Vigor and put the reroll saves on Archeon, and I cast Mystic Shield on the Sorcerer Lord as well. So I had to play defensively because I knew I was getting double turned.
Yeah, which is a great. If you know that's coming, you can easily set up for it and prepare.
Exactly. So anyway, Simon got 2 full turns in. He didn't charge Archeon. He put Archeon on the other objective that I wasn't near because he knew he needed to score points.
Yeah.
And then he sent his other hero after me, Manticore, to try and take him down with the Marauders. So going into my turn 2, I then used the Fight When They Die command ability on a unit of Varangard.
Yep.
I measured very carefully the distances, and I couldn't keep that unit of Varangard within 18 if I charged them where I wanted to charge.
Right.
So I used Will of the Everchosen, which is pick a unit on the battlefield and you can reroll hits and wounds of a 1 against that target.
Right.
And I charged me 3 Varangard at Archeon.
Ooh.
So I got I got the +1 to hit. But I didn't get the plus. I think it's +1 to wound if you're within 18 of your Khorne General. So I didn't have the +1 to wound, so I was wounding on 3s, but I was re-rolling the 1s because I'd used the Will of the Everchosen.
Yeah, so you've still got a buff there at least.
And I was 2 damage each on the weapons because I charged. Because I was swords or whatever. Circle on and sorcered weapons, so I was hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, wounded on 3s, re-rolling 1s at -1. I was also having to, of course, re-roll 6s for the Eye of Shireen.
Yes.
And he was alive on 3 wounds.
Oh.
So then he fought back and killed them in one swing. But I'd used the command ability for them to fight when they die.
Oh, nice.
So then I swung back again and killed Archeon.
Yeah, mutual destruction. That's what we like.
Yeah, I was like, hey, if I lose a 300-point unit and I take out 800-point unit, I'll do it any day of the week.
Oh, definitely. That's a fair trade.
Yeah. By this point,
and even just psychologically.
Oh, it's a massive blow. It's a massive
big blow.
Yeah. Yeah. By this point, my Archeon had fought his Varangard. He charged them in, but he did hurt me, but not that much. And the other squad of Varangard were just slowly chewing through the Marauders. But again, by choosing who activated, who I removed when they died, and then piling in and fighting twice, plus the Manticore got very, very lucky because he was doing... his claws were a flat 2 damage, I think they were. And he has like 4 or 5 attacks. And then obviously, because he was Nurgle, and his 6s were an extra damage as well. Do you know what? The Manticore can fight.
Yeah. It's not as insanely powered big beastie, but it's got potential to.
Yeah. And he managed to kill the other hero, that his lord on Demonic Mount. And basically, at the end of turn 2, I had a single Varangard with the Manticore. I had Archeon, who was wounded. I had 1 or 2 Varangard around him, and he had like 6 Marauder Horsemen.
Oh.
And that was at the end of round 2.
Yeah.
I hadn't used my command ability to find out if I was going first. Then we simply diced off, and I was going first, so we called it there.
Yeah,
because obviously he couldn't catch up on points, and I was going to kill them Marauders. So both games had essentially been decided upon who was going first on turn 3.
Yeah,
and it was me. Now the interesting thing is, as much as the first game was decided at the end of turn 2, beginning of turn 3. It was only during turn 4's movement that I actually got onto all the objectives, but because I'd killed all of his units, he couldn't stop me. So I actually ended up overscoring him. So it's a killy list, but you cannot score early unless you are very, very careful. You've got to kill your opponents and hope you've got a long enough time to then recoup the rest of the points for the
you're going for that turns. Like turn 1, turn 2 devastation, and then like you say, hope there's enough turns left in the game to get ahead of him.
Yeah. So that put me at a 20-0 victory.
So you're right up in the nosebleed section at this point.
I was 39 out of 40 points at this point.
Yeah.
And I'd played 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, holy moly.
Yeah, this is a serious list.
Yes. And, of course, then I got drew against a well-known player that you actually know quite well.
Yes.
Can you see his name? Because I can't see it.
Chalmers.
What?
There's no Chalmers you played last.
No.
Who did you play last?
Bazooka?
Oh, Paul Duduka. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I remember thinking you were gonna. You and him were pretty equal on points. I thought that's where you were gonna go.
We were, yeah. I thought I was going to end up playing Chalmers.
Mr. Bazooka's results weren't in at the time I checked. I was falling on TTO.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh yeah, you got the Bazooka.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing with Deepkin.
He does. he was, considering it was a very competitive game. Obviously, he had a very strong list. He knew exactly what he was doing. It was a very much a gentleman's game. It was an absolute... Honestly, it was fantastic to play against. He was very clear with his explanations, asking what my stuff did, make sure that we were both fair, and both understood each other and everything. And you know what? It was a really, really good game. I went early on and spent my command points in turn 3. Obviously, the eels hit me hard, right?
Yeah.
I lost a squad of Vanguard his first turn.
Yeah, I mean, and how much eels did that? Was that the unit of 6 or?
I think it was a unit of 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went first on turn 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I know that the Deepkin all fight first on turn 3.
Yep.
So I spent my command points. I was like, right, Archeon's going to fight when he dies, and I'm going to put that on someone else as well. So I spent both command points that I generated, right?
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
And I thought, this is going to be risky, right? I need to tie up as many eels as I can with Archeon, so that they're not -2 doing the 2 damage. Now, I had Ruinous Vigor on, I had Fight When I Die, and I had reroll all saves because of the Manticore, and I was within 12 of the Manticore, so any 6s I roll a wound would be an extra damage as well.
Yeah,
and I had the other squad of 6 eels 3 inches away from me. And I thought, right, if I can get a 7 or 8 inch charge, I can pile around that little bit further and tag the other squad of eels as well.
Yeah.
And stop them charging.
And of course, you spent all your command points.
Yeah.
So you're just relying on the.
Don't roll a double 1, Harry. Don't roll a double 1.
And we rolled
a double 1.
Yep.
And at that point, it was like, well, that's game over, because now he's just going to charge with the eels, and that's Archeon gone.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ever playing against eels, you like you did there, you need to charge them.
Yeah.
And even then, it's still risky.
Even though I was charging, he would still fight first, but he wouldn't have the extra rend.
Exactly.
He wouldn't have the extra damage, and he didn't have the extra attacks because of Volturnus.
Yeah.
And I could have quite easily, all them 4. Archeon probably would have been half wounded, maybe close to death, right?
Yeah, he probably would have lived.
But he'd have fought something, right? He'd have killed stuff, and then it would have gotten to his turn. He'd have buffed them with the extra attacks. He then would have killed them. I would have still struck back again.
Yeah.
Right, that was the plan. And by rolling that double 1, that just totally scrumpled it up and threw it in the bin.
Yeah, and that was it. Table 1, top tables, double 1, done.
Yeah, and that was sort of halfway through turn 3. So, of course, got to his turn 3. We played it out. And, he wiped the board. I had like two Varangard left at the end of turn 3. He just had too many eels. I couldn't chew through them fast enough with what I had left, and I couldn't score, because had Archeon actually getting round and made that big charge, I'd have actually been on his objective, which would have scored me the 4 points. Yeah,
which is obviously the big one in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even just holding that for a couple of turns, or a turn, can just swing the game dramatically.
Yeah, vastly. So that actually kicked me down to ninth place, but out of, I think, 32 people, or 34, 36, something like that.
Yeah.
To come away at that level, I was absolutely over the moon with.
No, it's a great result. I mean, one days always are... They're so swingy, because you don't have that second day to make up your numbers.
Yeah.
So losing one game is always going to knock you down further than you think it should. Like, obviously, you're on table 1 and you drop down to 9th, but...
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing that I didn't like about my list was the fact that my games were over in 2 turns, two and a bit turns, but because I only have 11 models, my turns don't take long, and it's like a case of, I've got 18 attacks hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, wounding on 2s.
Yeah. So they're pretty much all hitting and wounding.
Yeah. But there's no variation in the list at all. It's just incredibly killy.
Yeah. It does one thing, but it does that thing very well.
So I did a lot of sitting around between rounds, because obviously there was like 45 minutes between rounds anyway.
Yeah, but you're finishing a good hour plus ahead.
90 minutes for game 2. And I'd finished 90 minutes before the end. So I think we'd played like an hour and 15, if that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
which is fine if you're at a licensed venue. You can go get a drink and get ready for the next round. But obviously that's not the case. The battle was a battle bunker, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, right, it was an absolute fantastic day, and hats off to Richard Hudspeth for running such a cool event. There was so many trophies and awards on offer. I actually got nominated for Best Painted, which was fantastic. But of course, Mr. Graham Shirley won that.
As it tends to, I believe, if he's at an event.
Phenomenal paint. Like, nobody can top the skill that Graham's got. He's a beautiful, beautiful painter. And I actually got nominated for Best New Army as well, which I actually won. And I won a little trophy of one of the old metal Fire Slayer dwarfs with the 2 axes.
Oh, the Slayers.
Yeah, the Slayers, painted by Graham.
Which is pretty sweet.
It is indeed. So that was that. 2 weeks after that, though, you went to the Durham Raiders AOS Retreat Weekender, which was 100% narrative.
Yes. And probably one of, if not my favourite weekend of Warhammer I've had. Like, no question. It was something completely different. It was so much more laid back than competitive events, largely because of the way the event is set up. Obviously, you're staying at the venue. So on the Saturday, it didn't really matter for timings for games because there wasn't really anywhere to go. So it was nice and relaxed, no pressure to get games finished. But yeah, as a narrative event, it was a lot of fun. I took my Stormcast list I've been running at Tempest and that, this was the event I built the list for.
Yeah.
I built it knowing it wasn't a competitive list, but I took it to a competitive event because it was all I had painted. And yeah, so this was what it was done for. So it's a fun list. It's not that good, but it looks cool on the table.
It did. Me and Lucy popped in. Unfortunately, we ended up not being able to attend, but we popped in to see it, and it looked phenomenal, like imposing on the table.
Yeah. It's just, it doesn't really match up to how it looks, especially the Star Drake, which they just don't do anything.
No.
But they're very cool.
And we managed to see you battling against Phil, who's the president of Durham Raiders, and he's
Indeed.
War Mammoth.
War Mammoth and a exalted Torn Demon Forge World Bloodthirster dude.
Yeah. And Graf.
Which was a super fun game. It was a mission actually from I believe it was from the Ossiarch Bone Reapers Battle Tome.
All right.
Where there's like a V shape at one of the ends of the battlefield, and there's entangling vines. So any models that are in there just die. And his army, because he had such big models with the Mammoth and Angarath and all these Bloodlayers, he physically couldn't get enough of them out of range of the sides of the board. So like the first turn, he just lost handfuls of models and we were just laughing, like we were just having a blast because it was so dumb,
Yeah.
but it was great. And every game I played that weekend was great against great armies. So on the Saturday, I played against. I'm not going to remember people's names, unfortunately, because it's been a while. But I did play against a Squig army, which
Aidan Connor.
is always fun to play against.
All yellow squigs?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it's Aidan.
Okay. So yeah, we had a great game, which I almost missed because I was up late on the Friday night, imbibing a little bit too much of the adult beverages. I got to my bed about 5 a.m. and promptly slept through my alarm. Yeah, because obviously I travelled down with Mark from Scotland, and he woke up to him banging on my door saying that it's time to make it down. But yeah, so I got there, had a few cups of tea to make it through the game, and yeah, it was a lot of fun because with Squigs you never know what you're going to get. I mean, if he rolls ones, he's not going to go anywhere. If he rolls boxcars, he's going to be across the table and punching my face in. And that's what happened. I didn't make it really off my half of the board for that whole game.
Fair enough.
He took me off. He had a big Colossal Squig, he'd Mangler Squigs, and he had some Troggoths as well, which they do hit very hard, Troggoths. And yeah, so that was a wee loss. But that was the board they were... It was like what was it? Had the river running through it and everything. It was a board I was playing when you came to see me.
Oh, the scenic one, the Jez build.
It was truly a stunning board. I think game 2 was against Flesh Eater Courts. And
Okay.
I used to play Flesh Eater Courts, so I kind of know what they did. And we had a very close game. I did one of my favorite things I like doing with that list, which is deep striking in the 8 Dracoths and just mortal wound shooting off something big, which was his Terrorgeist. So that was gone before it got to do anything because it would just tear me apart. By the end of the game, because the scoring was different for this event as well, which I should probably have gone over. But by the end of the game, he won because he had a CP left to make his ghouls fight twice to take out my hero, which gave him, because we'd have like a free 100-point hero as your guide of the realm, so to kill him was worth extra points. And we finished it. There's only 10 points available total, so it was really swingy. You didn't have to win the game. Even if you were like maxing points for winning, you weren't. Folk in the middle were still not far behind you, so it was really interesting. But it also worked out, even if he hadn't killed him, he would have still won the mission, but I would have walked away with more points, more tournament points. So it was super, super close because of that. And then after that, I played an Ossiarch Bone Reaper all cavalry list.
Right.
Who I think was also at Europe.
Yeah, was it Stephen Hendry?
Yeah, that maybe rings a bell. Really nicely painted all cav list, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really like that build for Bone Reapers. It's actually fun to play against, unlike a lot of the full.
Did he have the court that was running charge?
No, he took the anti-magic court.
Oh, right.
Now, the reason for this was the event narratively was quite themed around magic.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he played 0 magic armies that day.
Ah.
So it really didn't work out well for him. But, he took what made sense for the lore of the event. But yeah, so yeah, it was a great day. And then day 2, the narrative had kind of been worked out by then, because it was obviously ongoing and there was lots of different missions the way it would go. So we could pick our opponents.
Yeah.
So I played a gentleman that was playing Iron Jaws. Again, name gone out of my head. I think he was also at your event, but playing Caradron Overlords.
Yeah, he was. I think he got. I can't remember the guy's name. He's from Newcastle Warlords. Mm-hmm. I think he got most kills as well.
Right. So yeah, he was running away with the event. He was winning all his games because Iron Jaws are just, well, they're Iron Jaws. I mean, they hit you hard, you fall over. So yeah, we beat a game. We beat that game in the morning, and then I managed to take off his Mega Boss turn 1. Again, dropping down, shooting, charging in, but you kind of forget just how much they can fight back.
Yeah.
Iron Jaws, and they just took me off.
Yeah.
And then game 5 was against Phil,
Yeah.
that I won. So I won one game that weekend.
And that's only because Phil... Well, it's not only because that, but Phil's dice rolling is horrendous.
Yeah, it really was quite poor. And the mission didn't help him. The fact he was just losing his own models more. I think he killed more of himself thanks to the scenery than I killed.
Yeah, but honestly, Phil's such a great guy. Like, you can have any game with him at all, and he'll just be laughing.
Oh, we were both just laughing the whole time because it was just so stupid.
Yeah.
And I think there was a time, if I remember right, where the Exalted Bloodthirster charged into my Castellan and my Gryphound and killed the Gryphound but failed to kill the Castellant.
Oh, man.
So he just lived, and then he died the next turn, but for a turn he lived, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so after that, that was the event, and comes to prize giving, and first event was best sports, which I was in tied first place for. There was 3 of us up for that. So we rolled off, and unfortunately I didn't win the roll off, so I didn't get to take the trophy back to Scotland with me. The next trophy was for the overall most points at the event, which was the one that I did take home.
You got the most points?
I got the most tournament points at the event from only winning one game because of the soft scores, the painting scores, everything like that goes into your overall score.
Right.
And because the scores are so close, it was enough to pit me 1 point ahead of the gentleman with iron jaws who'd won all his games.
Wow.
So yeah, that was I've got the sitting from me just now actually, the Master at Arms for the Durham Raiders AOS Retreat 2020. It's a very nice glass trophy.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. So that was a great weekend. Well, if there's one next year, we're definitely coming back down to it, me and Mark.
Oh, great.
I will probably be running Spider Fang. I spoke about it at the event with the guys. I really want to do a full Spider Fang army, and I've pretty much agreed a deal with my old FEC army to trade for our Spider Fang army. So that'll probably be after quarantine's lifted and we can all go about our businesses again.
Yeah,
I'll be picking up the Spider Fang and doing a list for that for the event, which will be fun because it's just lots of little spiders, and he can do some crazy things with the Scuttle Boss. He can do about 15 to 30 mortal wounds.
wow.
He's only got 8 wounds and like a 5-up save. He dies. It's a one-shot cruise missile if it all goes off. But again, it's just dumb fun, which I love. Which is what I like about Destruction. It's very iffy if it works. But if it does work, you're sorted.
I love me Destruction armies. Actually, the only Destruction army I don't have is a full Spider Fang list and Savage Bone Splitters.
I do have a full Bone Splitters list, and I've actually got full 2K list now. I've got a Rogue Idol somewhere.
Oh.
Put that in a box somewhere, and I don't know where I put it. But yeah.
On the subject of Destruction, Grant, the Warhammer reveals.
Yes.
Sons of Behemat.
Yes.
But we don't know what's coming other than a short trailer.
No. And I've seen a lot of people buying Ilguzzler Gargants and painting Ilguzzler Gargants, and we have no idea that they're going to be the models.
Nah. I mean, I've got 3. I've got 2 off when I used to run me Ogres, when I used to run a General Destruction list. And I've got 1 that ties in with me Gloomspite. But the trailer that they released does mention other types of Gargant, right? Now, I genuinely think we'll get maybe 2, possibly 3 kits maximum.
Yeah.
But I think each one will build 1 or 2 different variations.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Like what the Dankhold Trog Boss does. That's what I think. So I think you'll only have probably 5 entries in the entire Battle Tome. That's what I think.
I think that'll be fine.
But beyond that, we still know nothing else.
No. We really don't.
Not a thing, other than, yes, it's a thing, yes, it's coming.
Yeah, that's it. We know it exists. We've known it's existed for a while, but now it's confirmed, 100%.
Yeah.
This is a real army you can play.
The other thing that, of course, was shown off was some more Lumineth Realm Lords.
Yes.
Giant Cow with Hammer.
Yeah. I wasn't sold on the army before, Still not sold on it now.
I feel exactly the same way. A lot of people do like it.
Yeah, and I'm happy for them. Like, I'm genuinely happy they're liking the direction. It's not for me. I'm not really an elf lover, has to be said.
They're not dark enough for me.
Well, I like my dwarves.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a stunty fan over an elfy fan.
The thing that I'm struggling with is they are so much like high fantasy elves, but they've thrown some dwarven stuff in by means of the cow with the hammer and, of course, the mountain and stuff. And then
There's also a little bit Beasts of Chaosy as well.
It is, but then you've also got the elves that they showed off with the hammers.
Yeah.
And, like, elves just shouldn't have hammers. They're thin, nimble.
I mean, it's nice they're playing around with the typical fantasy tropes. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it does just seem a bit off.
Yeah.
I'm also just not a fan of the model designs, like, in general. None of them have really made me go, ooh, I want to play that. Which is probably the first GW release in a while that hasn't made me want to buy the models.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about, because I don't really need another army.
Well, that's the other thing as well, right? Because obviously nothing's been released since, like, the 17th of March.
Mm-hmm.
I say the 17th because I know it was my birthday week that basically everything got shut down.
Yeah.
But since then, nothing's been released.
No.
Which means I haven't spent any money.
Which is always good.
It's very good. I tell a lie, I bought some Vallejo texture mud.
Oh, it's great stuff. I'm a big believer in the Vallejo texture paints these days.
Yeah, and that I bought a couple of paints from Battle Bunker.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I've got, I don't want to say I've got tons of money, I haven't, but, like, when something comes out, what I would normally spend is there.
Yeah. Got some hobby budget to play with when something cool appears. Probably Behemoth.
Fortunately, it's not going to be Lumineth Realm Lords.
No.
It will be Sons of Behemoth.
Yes.
And it will be eventually Adeptus Mechanicus. I say Adeptus Mechanicus. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Admech. Yeah. Because they are supposed to be the next to be released Psychic Awakening book for 40k. And there's a lot of new models for them. There's flying.
I like the Horseys. I like the Horsey ones.
I'm not sold on them. There's 2 variations of them, 2 variations of the guys with jump packs, and 3 variations of the flyer. So that in itself is a lot of hobby fund. But then, of course, if we go on Gargants, like, how big are they going to be? Are you talking, like, Marathi Alariel big?
What I would want is Imperial Knight big.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I want this to be the fantasy Imperial Knights, the Sigmar Imperial Knights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your army's going to be like 5 models, but they're going to be brutal.
Yeah.
Which we kind of have already with Stonehorns. They're just not as big, but your army is 5 models and it just rips everybody else apart.
Well, you could also technically go, what's it called? The Bloodthirster Battalion?
Ah, yes, Baleful Lords or something.
Something like that, yeah.
We got Tyrants of Blood as the battalion, but Baleful Lords is the army that lets you run 5 of them.
Yeah. Which is savage.
At the competitive event I went to with my Fire Slayers, after the 2 weeks after the Durham event, there was a guy running Baleful Lords with 5 Bloodthirsters in it, which I think he went 2-3 or 3-2. It was something around that. But yeah, it looked like a lot of fun.
What was that event that you went to? Tell us a little about that there.
Yeah, so that was Fall of the Old World.
Because I can't speak.
Yeah, that was Fall of the Old World. Again in Stirling, in Common Ground Games, run by Mr. Kev Lowe, which was has turned out to be the last Scottish event for the foreseeable future. So I was chuffed that I managed to make it down. I was a bit unsure with everything that was going on, but lockdowns hadn't happened yet, and we're all just thinking like, well, the event's going ahead. Let's all just go and have one last hurrah before, we're probably not going to get to see each other again for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took my Fire Slayers I'd been working on, which was going to be my army for this whole year. So that's taken a bit of a hit. and my display board, because this was the first event we'd had a display board trophy.
Yeah,
So
you'd really worked on getting that display board done as well, hadn't you?
Yeah, that had been a bit of a stressful week, and I'm still not 100% happy with it. Mainly because I picked up the wrong paint when I went to paint some of the scenery and messed that up. But hey ho, managed to get to figure out in the end. But yeah, so I took my Fire Slayers with Gotrek, because Gotrek is fun. And yeah, so again at this event I went 2-3. I had hoped to get the 3-2 with Fire Slayers, but my first time using them I didn't get any practice games in because I was so busy painting them.
Yeah.
So that was a big hit in terms of knowing where I was going to be, what they could do, getting used to the slow movement after playing a fairly fast army, stuff like that. Definitely knocked you off, but I do have my list of games here, actually, just to very quickly run through them. So, yeah, my first game was against Ben Cronin, who travelled up with his better half from somewhere down in England. Can't remember where.
Somewhere down in England?
Yep. Somewhere down there. There's a few places.
Further south than me, or?
I'm not sure. It's been a while. It's like 2 months. I was drinking the whole weekend with him and his missus all weekend. I can't remember much.
So do you know what's funny, right? So Gareth, one of our newest Patreons, right, is from like deep Wales. Like he speaks Welsh. And he asked obviously where we were based and stuff, and I told him, and he looked at Google Maps and he was like, Christ, that's nearly Scotland. And I was like, yeah, we're about 90 minutes from Scotland.
Yeah. So yeah, I played Mr. Ben Cronin game 1 with his Sylvaneth. And we were playing a knife to the heart. So if he took my home objective, he won basically.
Yeah.
I was feeling pretty good about it, going into it. Couple of issues. One, his Durthu was able to retreat after it attacked, which I wasn't aware of.
How?
Some artifact or something or other in his list. Okay. I can't remember what it was that did it. So he can retreat out of combat after he swings.
Okay, find out what that is so I can tell Lucy.
You sure? Because it's not fun.
I know how it is though, because Mangler Squig Loon Boss has the Fight Another Day command trait.
Yeah, it's one of the glades.
All right, okay.
It gives you that, but it's not. It's kind of the only reason you would take that glade, I think, is for that little.
Oh, right, okay.
It's nothing else it does is that great. Okay. But that was so good because Durthu basically never got hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was going fine. I kind of castled up and then thought, I'm bored of castling up. I'm going to move forward. So shot Gotrek up one flank, and he took out like a tree lord, a unit of bow hunters, and 20 dryads because that's what he does. And my Poleaxe berserkers were kind of trying to go after Durthu and take him out. But I was still feeling pretty confident. Still my 20 Broadaxe berserkers and 10 Volkites holding my home objective.
Mm-hmm.
He managed to charge into my Broadaxe berserkers. So I'm like, okay, it's fine. They've got a 4-up shrug.
With Durthu?
When you don't... Durthu and some Scythe Hunters, I think.
So he was doing flat 6 damage?
Yeah. But I'm like, I've got, I can maybe weather the storm. Couldn't roll a single 4-up save. Just wiped the unit pretty much.
Wow.
That was brutal. So yeah, that was me just kicked down the tables. But it was a fun game. Just learning the way that it was such a cool. It felt like playing Sylvaneth. Like he was just darting out of the woods and attacking, teleporting around. It was pretty cool. I'll get the list off him. It should be on the. It'll be on the TTO for the list. I can give you that, and you can see. In the next game, I played Mr. David Nemeth. He was playing a Tzeentch list and just shot me off, basically. Yeah. I mean, there's the only game Gotrek didn't kill anything. Because he
didn't get anywhere.
Yeah. I basically, all I was really caring about this weekend was seeing what Gotrek did. Then game 3, and I was, hitting the beer by this point, as you would expect. I played against Jane, who was Ben's other half, with her Seraphon. Which
was this new Battletome Seraphon or not?
No, No, this was old Battletoads Seraphon.
Oh yeah,
came out
because
that day.
that's something else that's happened in the meantime
Yes.
as well.
Seraphon have a book. So it was old Seraphon, and it was the. I can't remember the mission now. In fact, I do have it in front of me here. I did load up the Twitter. It was Battle for the Pass. So, a fairly long walk across the board for me. But yeah, Gotrek just went to town. He just ripped through everything. He killed Jose, who is a Bastildon that wears a sombrero.
Okay.
10 skinks. Then the Slan charged into Gotrek to try and hold him up. The Slan died.
Yeah.
And then Gotrek killed the Engine of the Gods. And ended up on the enemy's objective and just held it. So that was a win. Then game 4 was against 160 chain rasps.
Oh, nice.
Which I misplayed massively and lost. I should have used my movement rune quicker. I tend to not use it till later in the game, but that game I really should have because I couldn't get him off the objectives quick enough to score.
Because there was just too many, and then they kept coming back.
Just too many, yeah, and they were just hanging back just at the range. It took me ages to get there. I was rolling really poor run rolls. I just wasn't getting the movement. But it ended up being you got the major win, but no secondaries, no points for killing or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Gotrek took out 48 chain rasps, a Guardian of Souls, and a Spirit Torment.
Wow.
In maybe 2 rounds of combat or something like that. Then game 5 was against Bone Reapers led by Nagash.
Petrifex Elite?
Yes, of course. That was fun. My opponent, Rami, made a couple of mistakes, which I capitalized on. He moved Nagash far too close to me. We had that protection Nagash spell on.
So as soon as he's got 5 up, and as soon as he takes a wound, he moves.
So I charged my Broadaxe Berserkers into him, takes him down a good chunk, and then he teleports over to the other side of the board where my Poleaxe Berserkers were. I then win priority, and I'm like, right, I have to go for this because if I can take out Nagash now, the game is mine.
Mm-hmm.
Which meant I had to charge out of the range for the 4-up shrug, so they're down to a 6-up shrug.
Yeah.
And leave Nagash on 2 boots.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was not great. But while that was going on, I held the bottom objective with a Rune Master and 20 20 Broadaxe Berserkers who were just grinding against 40 Morteg Guard and just neither unit died over the whole game.
Wow.
And then the middle objective, Gotrek ran in, killed 4 of the 5, what do you call them? Horse Bone Reaper guys.
Oh yeah, the Death Riders.
Death Riders, yeah. 4 out of 5 of them. And then he removed all but the one that Gotrek was in combat with, which meant that Gotrek could activate again. Because he was still within 3 inches of an enemy at the end of his turn.
So technically, if he took that one and then left one further away, Gotrek wouldn't have been able to fight again.
No, exactly. And that meant that I could pile in 3 inches, so I swung around the base, which got me into the range of the middle objective, and killed obviously the one Death Rider that was left, and Gotrek held that objective until about turn 4, by which time I was ahead enough in points that it didn't matter.
Right.
And Nagash's machine gun arcane bolted Gotrek off the table.
Of course.
Yeah. I think he had to finish him off with Gaze and Nagash at the very end. I think he just didn't get quite enough damage through with the arcane bolts.
Yeah.
But I was hoping he was going to charge him. We're going to have a heroic Nagash versus Gotrek fight, but no.
Oh, it's like me and Lucy have tried to do Archeon versus Nagash twice.
Yeah.
And she pussied out of it both times. Because she had protection of Nagash on him. And I was praying to God I got that 6/6 with Archeon. No, I didn't. I just didn't. Off. And then she just teleported him across the board. And I was like,
that's why you need to play him in Zinj so you can just Destiny dice that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so only 2 wins, but I think I'll probably be playing Fire Slayers for a while now. I really like how the army works, and Gotrek is a lot of fun. He's still not the most competitive choice. You just if you take him in the 10 bulk outside, you can drop in 3 units of the shooty guys and a rune smiter, and your list is a lot better.
Yeah, we were
it's
actually talking about going to the doubles event as well, and you were going to take Gotrek and whatever battle lines, weren't you? And I was going to take a Lariel and just Dryads.
Yeah, I was going to take Gotrek, a Rune Father, 10 Hearthguard Berserkers, and 10 Volkite Berserkers.
And then I was just going to go Alariel, and then I think 30 Dryads, 10 Dryads, then summon 20.
Yeah. It was going to be completely stupid. But obviously, unfortunately, that's wasn't to be.
No. Hopefully we can, if there's anything running like that again, it would be nice to make the trip up for that.
Oh, definitely. But the one last thing I will say about Follow World is I did make it away with the display board trophy. After putting all that work in, which I was quite happy about.
Excellent.
And there's now a lot of display boards. We've got like a Scottish scene WhatsApp group, and there's a lot of display boards being made in there now. So I'm looking forward to seeing them all when events start.
Yeah.
Kicking off again. It's a great time to do something like that because there's no real rush for anything anymore.
No, and if you're like me, your gaming table's just filled with models at the minute. I mean, I'm trying to keep all the models I've painted during lockdown on the table so that at the end I can go, this is what I've done.
Yeah, this is what I've achieved during lockdown.
Because if I put them away, I'll forget that I've painted them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So,
as you said, yeah, Seraphon came out, which we spoke about on your channel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's, like, everything.
Yeah, that's basically it.
I'm glad we had these events to talk about, otherwise this would have been a very short podcast, Grant.
It would be. Hopefully we get some nice AOS reveals over the next 2 weeks that we can speak about.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually got one Game of Age of Sigmar filmed, which I'm probably going to release next week. It's the first of the semi-finals for mine and Lucy's 8 army tournament. The problem that we had is 3 of my armies made it through and only 1 of Lucy's.
Yeah.
So she had to take control of 1 of my armies.
So did she get to choose, or did you...
She chose, but I made the recommendation that she did this as well, because it was the easiest to play. So, her Flesh Eaters made it through.
Mm-hmm.
My Ogres made it through. My Iron Jaws made it through.
Of course.
And the Lord himself made it through.
Mr. Archaon.
Yes. So I was like, Lucy, just use Archaon and the Varangard, point them at something, roll 2s and re-roll 1s.
Yeah.
Was pretty much what I said to her to do. And honestly, I won't tell you how the game goes, I'll let you watch it.
Yeah.
But two of the killiest armies that there is.
Mm-hmm.
And Iron Jaws, despite them only having movement 4, Iron Jaws are quick if you play them properly.
Oh yeah, Iron Jaws are so deceptively quick.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like,
if you're just looking at the War Scrolls, they're not. But once you get into allegiance abilities and everything like that, they're just so fast.
Someone goes to you, what's the movement of that squad of 30-yard boys? 4.
Could be 4, could be 1,000,000. Like
4. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot them.
4?
Great, I'll move D6.
Yeah.
Champion. Oh look, it's my hero phase. Mighty Destroyers, I'm gonna move again. Oh, It's still my hero phase. I'm gonna green puke on myself. Oh no, I took damage. I'm gonna move again. And then I'm gonna charge 3d6 plus 3.
Yep. That's that's what they do.
Oh yes. Yes. Iron Jaws are fun. I love Iron Jaws. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. I like Big Wa. I'm a big fan of the Big Wa allegiance.
Yeah, I still haven't looked into it enough, to be honest, to understand it fully. I know obviously roughly what it does, but I haven't looked into it fully to...
There was an event in Australia over the same weekend the Durham Raiders event was. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at it on Twitter, and the top 3 armies that won were all Big Wa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of says a lot about where it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving forward, obviously we've got 2 more weeks worth of reveals from Games Workshop. I'm not expecting anything massive other than more Lumineth, and And
I don't know if we'll see much more Lumineth. I think we're kind of done with Lumineth reveals.
I don't think we've seen enough units. We've seen the armor guy. We've seen Tyrion or Teclis, whichever one it is. We've seen the
knights. We've seen the bows. We've seen the spears.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be that few. I think there'll be another 3 or 4 units at least.
They might keep some back though for near the release.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the thing now. Like we don't know when any of this is going to be coming out now, because obviously Games Workshop's schedule's been messed up and delayed by this. So I think we'll probably see some Sons of Behemoth.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we'll get to see the models.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we'll see. Maybe some more Hammer Old World.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
They might, even though we know that's years away. The fact they're already speaking about it means I think we might see something.
I think we'll see some 3D renders like what they did with the Sisters of Battle.
Yeah. That's
I know they teased the Kislev, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So I think we might see some of that. But beyond that, I really don't know what else to even remotely expect.
No, because we've seen a lot of the specialist game stuff already. We've seen Warcry, which is obviously what pertains to AOS. But yeah, there'd probably be Necromunda and stuff like that. What would be quite nice is a wee Battlefleet Gothic. I'd be quite into that coming back.
Yeah.
I think they've said Forge World are potentially doing it as a Horus Heresy series. Like Battlefleet Horus Heresy. But no, I think that the last 2 weeks have been kind of what everybody was expecting.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the big cow thing was nice, but it wasn't like bang. It wasn't like when you went to Adepticon 2 years ago, and it was like bang. He's Sea Elves.
Yeah,
and like that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So I think if there is going to be something like that, a big out of nowhere, I think it's probably going to be for 40k though. I think AOS is just going to be the Lumineth and the Sons of Behemoth, and I think there could be something big for 40k.
Yeah. So moving forward, hobby-wise for the next month, because judging by the news, I think we're going to be on lockdown until the back end of May, nearly.
Yeah.
So what? Obviously between lambing, of course. Busiest time of year for you. What hobby stuff would you like to get done over the next month?
Well, at the moment, I'm working on some stuff for the Song of Ice and Fire game. And I'm also just started working on some 40k stuff for the first time in a long time. I'm painting up some Orc Speed Freaks. Largely because I'm really enjoying my Fire Slayers, and I know if I go and pick up another AOS army, I'll paint it and I'll want to play it, and I'm really...
You want to play your Fire Slayers?
Yeah, and I'm very much... I kind of always need to have something to paint.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I thought, right, I'll take a break from AOS. I've got my Fire and Ice stuff that needs painted, but I'm also wanting to do some 40k. I've not painted vehicles in a long time.
Yeah.
I kind of want to try some weathering, stuff like that, really kind of push
the very, very forgiving. You can sponge paint, you can go out the lines, you can, like literally dry brush everything, weathering powders, chipping, you name it, you can do it.
I saw what I thought looked quite an easy chipping technique on YouTube. It was one of the old Games Workshop hobby, I think it was one of that year they did all the Advent hobby videos.
All right, yeah.
There was one there using just sponges and like brown paints and silver paints to create a nice weathering effect. They did it on a Killacan.
Well, I sponge paint all of Lucy's orcs because she doesn't like getting her hands messy. I use Typhus Corrosion because it's quite a bit gritty as well, but it's a very dark brown. But yeah, Typhus Corrosion is really good for that.
Mm-hmm. So, because I've painted them bright blue and yellow for the vehicles.
Yes.
But at the moment they look a little bit like a child's toy because they're that bright. Yeah. So once I start being able to weather them down a bit, I think it'll all blend together quite nicely.
Yeah. Meanwhile, for me, my mission is to finish my Blood Angels.
What's you got left for that?
I've got 2 Dreadnoughts, 13 Terminators, 9 Primaris, 9 Scouts, 2 Bikes, and a Command Tank. And an Impulsor.
Have you listened to... You said you did listen to or read the Devastation of Baal story.
I've listened to Dante, not Devastation of Baal.
Oh. So listen to Devastation Abal. There's quite a cool bit involving bikes
Alright.
in Devastation Abal, which I was quite surprised about. You don't really hear much about Space Marine bikes unless it's Ravenwing
Yeah.
or White Stars. It was quite cool to hear from the Blood Angels bikes, and in general, it's just a really cool story.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that particular story.
Dante has a scene in it when Dante is actually a scout.
Okay.
And he's on his bike. I think he's the sergeant of the squad, but obviously he's on his bike and they're on some desert world and he reports back to his captain or whatever. And yeah, there was a cool little section there when the orcs the speed freaks were basically chasing them down.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's actually the current 99p offer on the Black Library app is Dante. I should maybe pick that up and give it a listen.
Dante is really good. I enjoyed it so much. And I'm not a book person, so yeah.
I am very much.
The other things that I'm working on is the Black Legion will hopefully be up and running. I've got 5 Marines here half done and a Disco Lord, and then that'll finish them off. I don't plan to really expand them beyond maybe 1 or 2 Demon Engines, but that's it.
Yeah. Demon Engines are nice. I used to love the Forge Fiend in that.
Yeah.
Back when I had them. I don't think they're as top tier anymore, but they were a lot of fun back in like 6 when they came out.
Yeah.
Them and the Helldrake.
And
mine was bright pink.
and Death Guard Marines. I've got some normal Marines for me Death Guard. And 20 Poxwalkers. Contrast for the win.
Oh god, yeah. I did 40 before Contrast was a thing back when 6th, 7th edition?
When 8th dropped.
Was it 8th? Was 8th? Yeah, it came out. Yeah. So yeah, I did them then.
Tom, one of our Patreons, actually commissioned me to do 36 for him.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, I regretted it. Yeah, I did them though. I did them in 2 batches of 18, and what I did is like every 2 nights I just went and did like 2 or 3 colours.
Yeah. It's a shame that there was never a proper kit for the Poxwalkers.
There is?
No, it's all just snap fit stuff.
Is it?
Yeah. It's just they've got an easy build set and the stuff that comes in the Dark Imperium box.
No, I'm sure there's another one. The Dark Imperium ones are quite good.
Yeah, but there's no like multi-part kit is what I mean.
Oh, right. I've just got the ones from Conquest.
Yeah, they're also I think they're the ones you can buy.
All the Dark Imperium ones and 2 easy builds.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
no, they never did that.
That's it. That's my immediate hobby plans. Grant, thank you very much, of course, for joining us.
No, it's not a problem. It's always a pleasure.
And let us know what your thoughts on the upcoming releases for Age of Sigmar are going to be. Let us know what you hope to see or that you think might be coming. And let us know, obviously, what events you've been to or hope to go to later in the year. Obviously, once the whole world has calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple I've got my eye on for later in the year that I really want to make the trip for.
Yeah.
September and November they are, so hopefully they're going to be fine.
Well, I'm hoping everything's going to be fine for September because that's when me and Lucy are due to get married.
Well, it would be better if everything was fine for that.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you very much for listening, guys. Please make sure that you stay safe. Stay indoors unless you absolutely have to go out.
Like if you need to lamb sheep, for example, can't really do that inside.
Yeah, but you've got no one else near you, so you're fine.
Yeah, true.
And if you're interested in posting hobby-related content, feel free to head over to our Facebook page, post on there what models you've been working on, and let's make sure we keep everybody inspired and get those piles of shame completed.
Yeah.
But thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.